Snow White isn't the only film that completely and hilariously failed at the box office, in large part to the woke star. Robert De Niro had a film come out, which perhaps was an even more hilarious fail than Disney's Snow White, because nobody even knew that it existed until the headlines started coming out about just how pathetic it did at the box office, earning just $3.2 million its opening weekend. This, despite the gimmick hoping to get people interested in the film, was Robert De Niro plays two different characters. And as you can see, with the magic of editing, come face to face against each other. The only other film I recall attempting this was Double Impact back in the early 1990s, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. If there are others, just leave a comment down below and let me know. But I'll give you one guess as to what type of character, or rather characters, Robert De Niro plays in his new movie. That's right, a gangster, which was great back in the 90s, like in Goodfellas and Casino, and even in 2019 with The Irishman. But then he really should have just hung up that genre completely. So it's those two kind of corny factors combined with the third and final nail in the coffin, the fact that Robert De Niro has turned off half of his fan base by just turning into a raving lunatic and holding press conferences, remember this, urging people not to support Donald Trump, thinking he's a tough guy at the award shows by using profanity when he's supposed to present an award, resulting in The Alto Knights having a 5.8 star rating on IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, which is actually fantastic compared to Snow White, which now is down to a 1.6, which may be one of the, or if not the lowest rated films of all time. Partially because they cast a brown girl as Snow White, and then on the press tour completely trashed the original content, the 1937 cartoon. And so that, with her rabid anti-Trumpism, has cost the Disney studio millions and millions of dollars. They're not talking about it yet because they're still trying to just hope that they can trick people into going and seeing it. But the producer's son did comment publicly saying that her personal politics are largely responsible for the poor reviews. But it's not just her personal politics, it's her abrasiveness and her narcissism. Imagine a major studio allowing one of their star characters to talk like this on social media.
Vote for Kamala Harris. And it's actually non-negotiable. Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights. Come on. Go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business. Thanks.
You don't need our business. Well, Disney sure did. This is not how a Disney princess is supposed to sound. I'm not going to read her post. You'll just have to read that for yourself. Something that she posted before she was even cast in the film. The Snow White disaster may finally cause the big studios to start following the Tom Cruise doctrine. A quick look at his Twitter feed shows that he posts about movies. Nothing but movies. And more movies. And more movies. And more. Now, we all know that he is a kooky Scientologist, a fake religion started by a science fiction writer, L. Ron Hubbard. But to his credit, he actually does keep that to himself. When he's out on the press junkets promoting his films, he is only talking about the films. You may have seen this video of him talking about the supposed benefits of Scientology. But again, to his credit, this was actually leaked and was supposed to be only for an internal private event.
Being a Scientologist, when you drive past an accident, it's not like anyone else. As you drive past, you know you have to do something about it because you know you're the only one that can really help.
Okay, that is hilariously insane, and if you haven't seen this leaked video, it goes on for almost 10 minutes. But again, I'm willing to look past it because that's part of his private life, that he doesn't proselytize out on social media and at press events. In fact, the only time he really stirred up any controversy was 20 years ago when he was sitting down with Matt Lauer, and he denounced the mass drugging of children on psychotropic drugs from the big pharmaceutical companies. Something that pretty much everybody could get on board with, but of course the liberal media being largely funded by the big drug companies were very upset with him.
Of drugging children with them not knowing the effects of these drugs. Do you know what Adderall is? Do you know Ritalin? Do you know now that Ritalin is a street drug? Do you understand that?
The difference is this was not against her will, though. But this wasn't against Brooke's will.
Matt, I'm asking you a question.
I understand there's abuse of all of these things.
No, you see, here's the problem. You don't know the history of psychiatry. I do. All it does is mask the problem, Matt. And if you understand the history of it, it masks the problem. That's what it does.
Earlier this week, there were rumors swirling around online very loudly that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the head of the Department of Health and Human Services, had, quote, banned big pharma commercials from advertising on television, prescription drugs. And that seems plausible because he has called for that to happen. It should happen. Notice how there are no cigarette commercials on television because those aren't allowed. And prescription drug commercials were not allowed on TV until 1997. And then once that law was changed, then they became the biggest advertiser on television, particularly in news, particularly in cable news. If you watch any CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News, it's just littered with worthless prescription drug commercials for depression and diabetes, masking the symptoms, like Tom Cruise said, when if these people, like in the Jardiance commercial, would actually just get out and dance like they are in the commercial and lose a few pounds, then they wouldn't need their diabetes drug. But sadly, he did not do that. He may not have the power to do that. He is probably working to try to get that to happen, but it hasn't happened. And I would highly doubt that it will because the pharmaceutical companies have so much money. They have so many members of Congress in their pockets that I just can't see that ever changing. Another thing that's not changing, which actually is good, however, is the Democrat Party is not backing down from wokeness. Anybody with half a brain would abandon the ideology and go back to a more centrist ideology. But the Democrats have all come down with stage 4 liberalism, and apparently there is no cure for that. And so here's Tampon Tim encouraging people to just continue to go further left.
We've been talking about this for years as a country of immigrants, and we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on...
The facts define the issue. We let them get the facts out to the American people and realize that America had been invaded by 30+ million illegal aliens who are being put up in hotels by American taxpayers, 20% of them in New York City alone, by the way. Not to mention their children are automatically given citizenship as anchor babies.
Issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is. We got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to stand up and say, you damn right we're proud of these policies. We're going to put them in, and we're going to execute them. And so...
That's right, sir. Whatever your preferred pronouns are, you just stay woke and we'll see how that works out for you in the 2026 midterms. Even pollster Frank Dunce has been trying to talk some sense into the Democrats, but obviously and thankfully they're not listening.
I think I'm alone in this group. I think I'm kind of afraid to be alone in this group. I surveyed these people. I focus grouped them. And they are really, really tired of being accused of either racism or sexism because they voted for Donald Trump. And it's one of the reasons why so many of them did. I sat on this stage with you and got chewed out when I suggested there's a better language to reach out to voters, that the Harris campaign is missing what they're looking for. And I say the same thing here. Americans just want to be Americans, not hyphenated Americans, not female Americans, Black Americans, Jewish Americans.
And we want Americans to speak English. Don't come to our country speaking some foreign language unless you're only here for a week or two on vacation.
They just want to be Americans.
How do you think it makes people feel, Black people, women, any person who has immutable characteristics about themselves, to be told every time that something happens, that because they exist in a particular role, it is their fault?
Actually, you could end that problem by only hiring people for jobs who are qualified and ending DEI. And then we would know that people have jobs because of their qualifications, not because they're a diversity hire in order to darken up the place. Thank God we have a president who sounds like a normal human being again. But how sad is it that we got to a place where such obvious truths like these need to be codified and put into law.
On day one, I made the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. So,
it's about time.
Is there anybody, seriously, is there anybody that disagrees with that in this room? I was thinking maybe somebody from the press might raise their hand. I don't think so.
I'm Mark Dice. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel for new here, and be sure to check back on Monday for a new report. So stay tuned, and I will see you soon.